Greetings, entrepreneurs. In this masterclass this evening, I am going to talk to you about how you could make I am going to talk to you about how you could make more money by selling fewer books. I'm going to share with you a case study, my own, how I made over 1600 US dollars without selling 5 copies of this book, $1 Million Book Secrets, recently. And so I invite you to stay tuned to get more of the details. Masterclass is now in session.
Ruth has created the Authorpreneur Secrets Academy and the first Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit around her book, Authorpreneur Secrets. As an Amazon best-selling author, she has coached several Caribbean authors to become Amazon best-selling authors. Her mission is to raise up 10,000 winning Caribbean entrepreneurs by 2030 to ensure fewer books die in the minds of their authors, that more manuscripts become published legacies, and precious lives are transformed with the turn of every page.
All right. So let's get into it. We had a little YouTube conflict just now. So my name is Kamika Ruth Taylor. I'm the founder of the Entrepreneur Secrets Academy. And I believe that the future belongs to authors who are entrepreneurial, otherwise called entrepreneurs. And I'm on a mission to equip and train and encourage 10,000 Caribbean authors to explore entrepreneurship. I would love for you to take your book and create a program with your book so that you could earn between 1 and 10,000 US dollars every 3 to 12 months. That would be good additional income because, as you are going to see, most authors do not make a full time living with their writing, right? So, and they aren't selling many books, and this is a goal that they have. Most authors, on average, if they don't have a large following or the backing of a big publishing house, you are going to sell between 200 and 1,000 copies of your book. And so, with that, we realize that many authors are not earning sustainable income with their books. And I'm on a trajectory to change that. And I want to teach you some of the strategies to do that. I have been making a full time living with my books and author services since July 2018. And there are different models to do it. And I recorded 3 of those models in this book, $1 Million Book Secrets, the author's shortcut to making millions without mass book sales. Now, the models can work for any currency, but I am more talking about millions in Jamaican dollars, which is at least $1 million is 6,250 US dollars at 160 to 1. And so, even if you're in the US, Canada, if you are able to make an extra 6,000 US dollars every year with your book or every 3 to 12 months, I'm sure that would interest you. For those who are joining live, and some of you are, put a comment and let me know where you're joining from. And if you're an author, how many books have you sold in the last year? Let me know. All right, so here are the juicy details. What did I do? All right, so I'm going to share that with you, but let me present a little slide, share some statistics. All right, so let me bring up my presentation. All right. So I trust that you're able to see my slides. All right, I've made the screen bigger. So 250,000 in profit without 5 book sales. Oh, And it's over that, but I just kind of run it off to that, right? Because that's like $250,000 Jamaican dollars without selling 5 books, right? This is my case study. How did I do it? All right. And how could you do it? I've been in this game, writing and publishing game, since 2015. So it's 10 years in, and I have developed credibility and authority. I am now on my 37th book, and I have at least 7 Amazon best-selling books. Most of my books are personal development, training, how to book, but I have some novels, I have poetry, and I have journals. So this is the book we're talking about, Million Dollar Book Secret. This is a how-to book to help authors to make more money by selling without selling thousands of copies. So this slide should really be titled, well, let's talk about some author goals, right? So when I was doing preparation for the Million Dollar Book Secrets webinar, I did a little survey in my Indie Entrepreneurs Facebook group, and I asked them, what were some of your goals as an author, right? Or why do you write? What are you trying to accomplish? And some of the responses were that they wanted to sell many books, and by doing this, they want to sell a lot of books so that they can make an impact, they can make money, they can transform lives with their books. But are Caribbean authors really selling books? So I'm doing my doctoral dissertation, and I did a survey of independent Jamaican authors, 50 authors, right? So I'm beginning to look at the survey findings. I'm not going to share everything because it's not out, but eventually this information will be out in the dissertation because it's going to be public, right? And so one of the questions was, how many books have you sold since becoming an author, both online and offline? And there were 50 respondents, right? And 30%, which was 15 of them, if you look at the orange, sold between 100 to 300 copies of their books. In the blue, 36%, I didn't get the figure there, but they sold less than 100. I should have written the exact number there, but follow it. So 15 of the 50 had sold between 100 and 300 copies of their books. Only 6 of the 50 persons in the survey, which is 12%, had sold more than 300 copies of their books. 8%, which was 4, so that is in the green, sold over 500. So out of 50 authors, only 8 sold more than 500 copies of their books. Now, that is showing and is representative of what is happening internationally, right? So it backs up the thing that says most authors are selling between 200 and 1,000 copies of their book. 8%, only 4 of these 50 surveyed sold over 500 copies. And authors want to sell many copies. So it shows me that many authors are not selling a lot of copies. And if you're not selling a lot of copies, then your chances of making money, if you're primarily dependent on book sales, it shows that, well, of this, if this is what we say now, a reflection of what is happening among Jamaican authors, it means most authors are not even selling 500 copies. So if you sold over 500 copies of your book, 500 to 1,000, if you've sold more than 1,000, give yourself a clap, a pat on your back. But let's go with the most. 15. Most of the participants had sold less than 100, right? And 30% sold between 100 to 300. So Let's break this down. Book sales. I told you that I made over $250,000 without selling 5 copies, right? So it was at the time when I made that, I had sold 4 ebooks, right? And I'm using this book. The printing cost on Amazon for this book is about $3.60, right? And if I were to print 100 copies, both from Amazon plus shipping costs, it would cost me 521 US dollars, which is just about 83,000 something Jamaican dollars. Follow me, some of you are not into numbers. Now, if you're publishing on a budget and you go through the Entrepreneur Secrets Academy, you might pay 1,000 US dollars to publish, right? If you're going through Bamboo Sparks, you have to pay at least 2,500 US dollars. But let's look at it from just the academy. So the cost to publish and print 100 copies is about 1,521 US dollars, or $243,360. So it means you would have to sell more. You have to sell enough books to recover that amount before you enter into profit zone, right? It makes sense. And I'm using a minimal cost there. In my survey, most of the authors spent less than $1,000 to publish, right? So we can use that as a figure there. Now, if you sold 100 copies, if I sold 100 copies of this book, and the print copies, I'm thinking, not ebooks, not of Amazon. If I sell a 100 direct at 3,000 Jamaican, I would make $300,000. That's revenue, right? And that's 18,075 US dollars. Now, if I subtract my printing costs and my publishing costs from that, that is 243,360 from 300,000. I've sold 100 copies, right? Which many authors don't even sell 100, right? That would leave me with 56,640. It's the math here, because you're in business, you have to do the math. That would leave me with 354 US dollars. So if I sold 100 books, listen, and I paid 1,000 US dollars to publish the book, and I printed 100 copies, and I paid 521 US dollars to print the 100 copies, and I sold all of them, I would have made 300,000 Jamaican dollars, or 1,875 US dollars. And then when I subtract my publishing and printing costs, my profit would have only been 354 US dollars, or a little over 56,000 Jamaican dollars. It takes a lot of effort to sell 100 books. Most book launches, you're going to sell maybe between 30 and 100 books. If you work it right, like one of our star clients, Dr. Angela Brooks from Turks and Caicos, she sold 500 books quickly. By the time of our book launch, she did that. No, this book, I did not spend a cent to publish it. So I did everything myself. Now, all of this is in context, right? I did everything myself. I designed the cover myself. No, I'm not new. I've been in this game for 10 years, right? I designed the cover for myself, put together the back cover, the front cover, and I use ChatGPT to help me with the cover. No shame in my game. I'm not one of those who is anti-AI. I wrote it in a day because it was based on my experience. I had some of the content from the programs before and I pulled it together. I wrote it in a day and I published the ebook in a day. I used ChatGPT to help me with the editing. I read it out loud, edited it. This is important part of it. And I published the print book, the ebook in a day. I use a program called Atticus to do the formatting. Atticus is 147 US. I bought it a long time ago. Uh, and that's what I used to format. And that was the ebook. So I sold 4 ebooks, right? Then by the 10th, so that was June 1. Amazon put the publishing date as May 31, but I actually did everything on June 1. I don't know why it backdated it. I don't know. But it was June 1. By June 10, I had printed the approved copy to read through, to check the mistakes and everything. And then I published the print version. I don't think I paid 3,000 Jamaican dollars or less than 20 US to print the proof. And then by the 18th, Amazon, through their virtual voice program, I had the audiobook out. I took a free ISBN, so I didn't have to pay for an ISBN. And so it says independently published. So if we're looking at cost in terms of all 3 versions, ebook, print, and audio, I only I spent less than $20 to publish this book, and it is a little. It is 114, 15, 16. It's 117 pages. It's a small book with a big impact. So I am in straight profit zone because we're talking the ebook. I didn't spend any money, but most of the authors do not DIY. They don't self-publish. They go through a company. They go through an agency. So you're going to spend at least maybe between $500 and $1,000 to publish if you're not using a premium service like Bamboo Sparks, which is starts at 2,500 US dollars, right? So look at the figures there. To begin to profit from my book, I would have to sell almost 100 copies, and the profit would be one. This is what 25% less than what I made. All right. So bear that in mind. So if you self-published like me and you printed 100 copies and you sold those 100 copies, say you didn't pay to publish, and all you're measuring it against is the cost to print 100 books and sell all of them, and you made 300,000 Jamaican dollars or 1875, you would have a profit of 1,354 US dollars or 216,644 Jamaican dollars from selling 100 books. That is still not anywhere near what I made selling 4 books and turning my book into a program. So let's talk about the program that I created and what I did. So let me share screen and show you what I did. So revealing my secret, right? Because many authors are just stuck on book sales, and book sales is everything. And so if they are not selling books, they feel that that is the thing to do. So what I did, I created a mastermind around the book. We complain a lot of times that people are not reading books, and so some people are no longer, they say they don't want to publish a book because nobody's reading. But you can take advantage of the fact that people are not reading and teach them the content that is in the book. And so you probably only need a few persons to buy the book, because the book is just a container, one format for the same information. But the program that I did encouraged reading. So you had to read the book to be part of it, and you had to read 6 out of the 10 chapters before it started. So I created the $1 million book Mastermind, which is a 90-day program based on the content that is in the book. So it wasn't an addendum. All I did was to turn the content of the book into a different format and make the book the textbook for the program. And so I created a 90-day program, and I was able to collect for the program even before the program started. So I made that money before the program started. The program will be delivered over 3 months. I launched the program 62 days after I published the book, but the registration took place before day 60. So that's why I say it's in less than 2 months. And I didn't have many people sign up for it, right? And so that's what I did. Do you have $1 million book? I had them do a checklist. So I said I would teach them the content of the book, which is how to make millions without mass book sales. I would teach them the math, the model, and the mission behind earning more with great impact. Learn to build purposeful, profitable program. So I launched this I did a webinar again to introduce people to my book and the content of the book. I summarized that, and I had a free webinar, and persons came, and I shared how I've been able to turn my books, not this book, this is the newest book, previous books, and I'm not talking publishing services, I'm just talking the book, into $1 million program, or make a million Jamaican dollars, up to 10,000 or more US dollars with a book, right? And I taught them that for free. And from that free webinar, persons signed up, and I shared my story, because my thing is you create, reproduce, transform, CRT. So you are going to teach people your own transformational results. So this is something I had been doing. I documented my process in a book, and I began teaching it, right? So this was the program that I advertised, and I gave people 2 weeks to sign up. And the cost of the program was at the time it was on discount, because this is the first, I'm running a pilot to see if I can really teach people to reproduce what I've done. So I know the program is way more valuable, but if I'm teaching you to make $1 million, then nothing is wrong if I charge you $1 million to learn the process. But with the mastermind, since it's a group program, it will cost less, right? You have to read a book. Over 4 weeks, I teach you how to do it. And in each month, I check up on you while you launch the program and launch your pilot. And I taught persons how to turn their book, package it, price it, how to promote it and present the content, and then run a pilot and pivot. Many times pilots are free or at low cost. So this was at a lower cost. So it was $600 early bird special if they signed up in the first 7 days, which would have been July 18 to 24. They would have gotten it for $600, a one-time fee. If they signed up after, they would have to pay 1,000 US dollars, or 1,040, I believe. And so that would be $340 per month for the 3 months. And I had persons sign up for that program. It was online. The program is still going on now. It's going to end in November with the first cohort. And I made 1,600 and I think $80 from it. And if you multiply that, convert that to Jamaican at 160, 160 to 1. So that's 160 times 1680. That would give you $268,800. I didn't have to sell 100 books. Remember, I told you that even if I were to sell 100 copies of this book, and it's straight profit, I would have to minus my printing cost of $521. I would have only made 243,000 something, and I would have to sell 100 copies. So 4 persons bought between the ebook and the audiobook at that time. And in the program itself, I made the book a part of it that they had to read it. So in the promotion of the program, I was marketing my book. In the delivery of the program, people had to read it. And then in the mastermind, I had sessions where I taught the very content in the book. And that's how I did it. So if you're able to take your book and turn it into an online program to teach the same thing that is in the book, you would be able to profit faster than trying to sell hundreds of copies of your book. That's what I did. So are you at that level where you could charge $600 for a program to do it fast? Maybe you're not at that level, but could you charge $40 for the program or $50 and get enough people in there? If you charge $50 per month for 3 months for a program around your book, that's $150, right? $150. If you had 10 people in there, let's do the math. So that's 150 using my calculator. 150 times 10, that would be $1,500, right? If you have 10 people paying you $150 over 3 months, that's 1,500 US. And you don't have to be printing any book. You give them the e-copy of the book. I had Book Funnel to deliver the copy of the book. And that's how I did it. And so you don't have to have $1,000 program or a $600 program to do it. Like I say, you can start small. It could be a $20 program, but then you might not want to do a $20 program because the book is $20. So if you charge 2 times or even 10 times, because the reality is that people would rather you read the thing and then come and teach them, and then they pay more money to hear you teach what is already in the book, and they will pay more. And so you don't have to be disheartened that you're not selling a lot of books. Maybe you don't have a nonfiction book or a book that can turn into a program or a mastermind. Even if it is a fiction book, could that fiction book be tied to a program where you're delivering a transformational result and people join you and will pay you $100 to hear you talk about it? Some people, they speak and do this, but I'm talking about the programs. And have you gotten a transformational result in your life? Can you document that process in a book and then help people to achieve that transformation and use the book to promote it? And then charge for it? With my model, you will sell the book, get people to read the book, and you will make more money without selling thousands of copies. Of course, my goal is to offer the program again so that I can indeed turn this book into $1 million book soon, right? So that's my goal, to turn this book in a couple months or before the year is out, maybe in another 6 months, to turn it into $1 million book, or to earn between 6,000 and 10,000 US dollars with it without selling 100 copies. And that's my challenge. And so I want to keep sharing these experiments and these case studies with you and encourage you to do it. I will show you at another time how I turned this one into $1 million asset, how I made over 20,000 US dollars with this one. That's a whole per millions in Jamaican, um, without selling 100 copies. And I want to help you to do that. It's possible. And you don't have to be in the game for 10 years to do that. So I'm running some pilots now. And once I have those testimonials and permission to share it, I will come back and share it. Do you have any questions or comments for me as we close out this masterclass? Thank you for joining me, those who've joined me live. I trust that you found that helpful. Any comments? Any questions? What's your takeaway from this presentation? Do you think this is something you could do? Are you interested in learning? Let me know. Or if you're watching on the replay, what was your takeaway from this presentation? Listen, man, Ecclesiastes 12:12b says, of making many books, there is no end. So I'm going to encourage you to go pen it to win it and dominate entrepreneurship. Since there are no questions, ta for now. Until next time. Bye.